So this document coming out of Alabama is a lawsuit, and I believe that the purpose of the lawsuit has to do with the transgender healthcare for children garbage limitations that they keep trying to implement on, like, basically trying to, as the state, inappropriately insert themselves into situations where doctors and parents and children are working together in order to, like, create the best outcome for that child as determined by the numerous medical professionals assessing their mental state throughout the process of them experiencing gender dysphoria and receiving, like, and socially transitioning and then later receiving medical care. Like, they keep track of all those things and watch all that stuff, you know? But the state of Alabama wants to make it illegal, of course, and this whole document is frustrating. I started looking through it. We're looking at here is the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. Oh gosh, so the state of Alabama is the defendant, and the United States of America. Oh, so this is, I believe, maybe this is where the U.S. government is suing the state of Alabama for implementing an anti-trans law. I believe that is more or less the situation here. Let's see what we can do about this. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier for y'all to see. Really, the whole thing is very frustrating. Like, it starts in a very frustrating place with this introduction. Oh my God, please. There's so much. So the introduction already is very frustrating. Like, it starts off by saying, the Alabama legislature recently enacted a medical marijuana law. Based on research, the legislature determined that the benefits of medical cannabis outweighed the risks and authorized the, quote, administration of medical cannabis products if used in a controlled setting under the supervision of a physician. Prior to the passage of this law, possessing or using marijuana was flatly illegal. Patients had no right to access it, and doctors had no right to prescribe it, no matter what the illness was, no matter how much help the physician thought it might provide. The Alabama legislature also recently enacted a law prohibiting the administration of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and surgeries to a minor for the purpose of, quote, transitioning the child to appear as another sex. I hate this phrase. The legislature found that the research regarding these novel interventions, again, they're not actually novel, they're just lying. The interventions are unproven to offer lasting relief to children suffering from gender-related distress, again, lies, and that what research does exist is already outdated. I don't know why like, remarkable fact, given that the seminal study on transitioning children, again, verb, transitioning children, as though it's something being inflicted upon them, was published less than a decade ago and has not been replicated. So you see what I mean? Like, this is already very, very frustrating, and I don't really want to, like, go through the entire thing, because there's only, like, one aspect of this that is really noteworthy compared to a lot of the other stuff that we've been reading. Like, a lot of the other stuff that we've been reading has been, like, oh, like, the same lies, basically, that, like, it hasn't been medically proven. They go on to say here that if you just let the children, like if you basically don't let the children transition, then they will just be gay or lesbian, quote unquote. And, like, it's, I'm not sure who filed this, can be completely honest. Like, the fine details of how lawsuits work is not something that I really understand. So I think this might be, I think the court case is the government, the United States government suing the governor of Alabama. But this, I think, was the response from the governor's office, or, like, their final posting. Yeah. So there was only one, like, main thing in here that I was really interested in looking at because it was brought to my attention. So notably, we're talking about the district court reasoning that parents have a fundamental right to direct the medical care of their children, but that defines the right far too broadly. So this is arguing that the right for parents to direct the medical care of their children is not unilateral, and that the state has a vested interest in, like, policing that somehow. The legislature determined that transitioning treatments in particular are too risky to authorize, so it is those treatments plaintiffs must show that the Constitution protects. But no one, adult or child has a right to transitioning treatments, which is deeply rooted in our nation's history and tradition. The state can thus regulate or prohibit those interventions for children, even if an adult wants the drug for their child. Just as the parental relationship does not unlock a due process right allowing parents to obtain medical marijuana or abortions for their children, neither does it unlock a right to transitioning treatments. The Constitution reserves to the state, not courts or medical interest groups, the authority to determine that these sterilizing interventions are too dangerous for minors. So, yeah, just again, more misinformation about like the sterilizing interventions thing. Great. The problem here, obviously, is that while this is arguing that the state is regulating interventions for children, they state here no one adult or child has a right to transition. This is, again, the originalist type argument where the Supreme Court is like, if it didn't explicitly say, you know, if it didn't explicitly say, then you don't actually have the right to do that thing. Which makes perfect sense. Oh my God. They're coming for the right to transition as an adult, to be totally clear. That's what is going to happen. And they've kind of already gone for it. In Missouri, they were trying to pass a law for youths, quote unquote, that extended up to age 25. So, yeah, I will say that, like, if you're a person who is feeling concerned about losing access to testosterone in the future, I would, you know, or like whatever, like if you have the ability to stock up in any way, like if your prescription is able to be filled slightly more often than you actually need it. I don't know if that's like something I should technically be telling you to do, but like I'm not telling you to give it away to anybody. I'm just telling you to have it for yourself to use just in case you run out. Oh, here's an even better addition. I didn't read this part before. Nor does the Equal Protection Clause forbid Alabama from banning these dangerous and unproven interventions on minors, particularly when the state bans them for everyone, boys and girls alike, without regard to transgender status, which is not a protected class under the Constitution in any event. Plaintiff's case hinges on the proposition that providing natural amounts of testosterone to a boy with testosterone deficiency while declining to give unnatural amounts of testosterone to a girl seeking to transition denies the girl equal protection. But the argument fails because these are different treatments for different conditions with dramatically different risks. Yeah, the problem is that, like, you're reducing this down to, like, the idea that this child is a girl. I mean, no, I mean, you're like denying them access to the same medication. Like, they're treatment for different conditions, yes, but you're denying them access to medication that's like, why would the purpose of it being for different conditions be like that big of a deal? I guess like they're just like saying that the risks are too dramatic to even begin to factor in that people might have severely negatively impacted mental health. Like, oh my God. The fact that a patient's sex affects the nature of a treatment does not mean anyone is denied equal protection. A doctor offering testicular exams only to boys or pap smears only to girls does not violate the Constitution. I mean, yeah, but the thing is that, like, what ends up happening here is that, like, a trans man, you say a doctor giving pap smears only to girls does not violate the Constitution. But if someone has, like, legally transitioned and is legally male and looks like a man and they go in and are denied a pap smear because they are a man, like they look like a man, and the doctor says it would freak out my patients if you were sitting in the office, like they will deny care to people who are like like the thing is that, like, they're just reducing everything. They're reducing boys and girls down to like PP and VV. That's their whole fucking, that's how big their brains are. They're big, like their brains are only so big as to encompass the idea of PP and VV. That's all they've got. And they really like to think about little kids' PPs and VVs just to make it absolutely clear the amount of time these fucking weirdos spend thinking about children's genitals. Anyway, I'm done being annoyed for today now.